This is part 2 of lesson 3 in unit 7, where we're discussing operating a vehicle. So we're getting into calculating fuel costs. So fuel efficiency can be defined as the amount of gas used to travel 100 kilometers. Okay, and you could see some different definitions of this depending on the context, but this is the definition we're going to use for the sake of these next examples. So basically, like I said, it's just the amount of gas used to travel 100 kilometers. So larger vehicles like trucks have a lower fuel efficiency, they're less fuel efficient, whereas a small car is going to be more fuel efficient. So, going into an example here, it says Devon's truck has a 76-liter fuel tank and a fuel efficiency rating of 11.8 liters per 100 kilometers. Explain what the fuel efficiency rating on Devon's truck means. So, our rating is always going to be liters per a certain amount of kilometers. Like I said, for the sake of this unit, we will be using per 100 kilometers. So what this actually means is that with 11.8 liters of fuel, Devon can travel 100 kilometers. Okay, so if he has 11.8 liters, he's going to be able to go 100 kilometers. Okay, and that is not always going to be the same, right? Because, like I said, fuel efficiency varies depending on the type of vehicle that you have. So part B says, how far can Devon's truck travel on one tank of fuel? So if we look back here, it told us that he has a 76-liter fuel tank. So how we're going to set this up as as kind of fractions. So we know that with 11.8 liters of gas, he can travel 100 kilometers. We know that his tank is 76 liters, so that's how many liters of gas he can fit in it. And we need to figure out how many kilometers he can go with that 76 liters. So this is just a simple equation that we need to solve. Okay, it's always going to be set up like this with liters on top of kilometers. So all we have to do is solve for x. So in order to do that, because we have x on the bottom there, we need to get rid of that, right? So in order to get rid of that x on the bottom of our fraction, we're going to multiply by x, because multiplying is the opposite of division. That means those x's are going to be canceled out. But what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we're also going to multiply this left side by x. So, before I multiply that left side by x, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just carry out that division. So 11.8 divided by 1,000 is 0.118. And we know that that has to be x times that equals 76 liters. So remember, again, we're solving for x, so our goal is to get x all by itself. So in order to get rid of this 0.118, because we're multiplying, we have to do the opposite, which is to divide. Once we divide those, they will cancel. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we are left with x equals 76 divided by 0.118. Carry out that division, we get 644. Okay, always referring back to the question, understanding what we actually solved for. So the question was asking us how far can he travel on one tank of fuel, and we figured out he can travel 644 kilometers with one tank of fuel. Perfect. Okay, so part C says how much fuel would his truck use on a 450 kilometer trip? So again, we're going to use the information that we know. We know that the fuel efficiency is 11.8 liters for every 100 kilometers. Okay, this time it's asking us how much fuel. We know our liters on top, so we'll put our variable on top this time. And our kilometer distance that we're traveling is 450 kilometers. Okay, so again, just like before, all we have to do is solve for x. X just happens to be in a different spot this time, which actually makes it easier for us, right? So all we have to do is get rid of this 450. Because we're dividing by 450, all we have to do is the opposite. So the opposite of dividing is multiplying. When we multiply x over 450 by 450, those will cancel. What we do to one side, we have to do to the other. Okay, so now it's just simply using our calculator. So we're going to do 11.8 divided by 100 times 450 tells us that he is going to need 53.1 liters of gas to travel 450 kilometers. And again, referring back to that question when you make your concluding statement, he will need 53 liters of gas to travel 450 kilometers. And again, that's based on his fuel efficiency. If your fuel efficiency was different, you're going to use a different amount of gas to get to that distance. Okay, part C just says, explain how to determine the cost of the fuel for the trip in part C. So to figure out the cost of the fuel, all we would have to do, we know how many liters we need, right? So all we have to do is take our liters and multiply that by the cost of gas per liter. So for example, we would take that 53.1 liters, and I don't know, the gas right now is about 1.27. You would multiply those out to get your cost. I just don't have my calculator on me, but that would give you the amount of money you're going to spend in gas to take this trip. Okay, last part of the lesson, vehicle depreciation. So depreciation is the decrease in the value of an asset over time. So an asset is just something that you own that costs money, that has value. So in this case, we're talking about the depreciation, obviously, of vehicles. So the vehicle would be the asset. Over time, vehicles are especially bad. They really, really lose their value. So that is called depreciation. So a new midsize vehicle sells for $21,135. Maurizia researched used cars of the same model and found the following information. Complete the chart below. Useful formulas for calculating depreciation percent, amount, and values are shown here. So these are going to be very important. They're going to help you basically understand how to calculate depreciation in your homework and on your unit assignment. So in order to find the depreciation amount, which would be in dollars, you would take your new car price and subtract the depreciated value after X years. Or if you didn't have that information, you could take the depreciation percentage and multiply it by your new car price. To find the depreciation value after X years, we would take the value of the new car minus the depreciation amount. That will give you the depreciated value. So the value of your car after that depreciation has been subtracted off. And lastly, to find the depreciation percent, all you have to do is take that actual the actual depreciation divided by the new car price times 100, and that will give you your percent. So again, I know I'm just explaining those equations, which isn't super helpful. So we're going to actually use them in the examples below. So from the information up here, all we really need to know is that the car sells for $21,135. So after 1 year, so say we buy this car, after 1 year, our depreciated value, so the new, which is basically the new value, so you can just say, just write it on top. So the new value after it's depreciated is going to be $16,000. So in order to find the amount that we depreciated, if we know the original cost of the vehicle and we know what the cost is going to be after the fact, all we have to do is subtract those, right? So we take the original price of the vehicle and we're going to subtract that new value. Okay, if you type that in on your calculator, you will get $5,135. So after owning the vehicle for just one single year, it loses over $5,000 in value. Okay, so finding that one is pretty easy. Finding the percent, again, we're going to refer back to these equations up top. So to find the percent, we take our actual depreciation. So that's the actual amount that depreciated, which we just found was $5,135. We divide that by the new car price. So sorry, this could be a little bit confusing. The new car price means the price of the car when you bought it new. It's not the new value without the depreciation. So the original, I'm just going to change that from new car to original. Original price. Okay. So the original price again was $21,135. And to get that into a percent, because we know to go from a decimal to a percent, we have to multiply by 100. Type that in our calculator. We get 24.3%. Okay, so in the first year, our brand new car that we just bought is going to depreciate by 24.3%. Okay, let's see what happens in the second year. So the information we're given here. So we know that our amount that we depreciated was $3,200. So to figure out our depreciated value or our new value after that depreciation, all we have to do is take the new value of our car based on the last year, right? Because we're not going to move backwards, right? We always have to keep using that new value of the car. Subtract the amount we depreciated will give us our new value after 2 years, which is $12,800. Okay, so now our car, we've had it for 2 years, now it's only worth $12,800. And again, to figure out that percent, we take the amount we depreciated divided by the original amount, and multiply that by 100. So it has depreciated by 15.1%. Okay. For the last column, it tells us that we are depreciating by 15%. So in order to figure out our amount of how much we have depreciated, what we need to do is we need to take our total cost of our vehicle and multiply it by 15% as a decimal. So again, divide that by 100 and it will give you that decimal. So that means we are depreciating by $3,170.25. Okay, so to figure out our new value of our vehicle, we take how much it was last year and subtract that new amount, which means after 3 years, our car is only worth $9,629.75. So we bought that car for over $20,000, and after only 3 years, we are already depreciated down to just under $10,000. So as you can see, depreciation is something you definitely want to consider when you're deciding whether to buy your car new or used, like we talked about in the last unit. So this is the end of the, what is this? The fourth lesson, which is the last lesson of Unit 7.